debates, in case you missed them. There was one really around the whole issue of payment for ecosystem services. There was one on going beyond GDP, one on green cities, and one on how to feed a world in the future where there's still leaving some room for nature. And I suppose that the first thing I'd say is that really all of these things turned out to be linked. We had questions about green economics coming up in the food one, and we had questions about food coming up in the cities one, and so on and so forth. The second sort of thing that I think runs across the board is that a lot of the ideas were quite nebulous, and I think that's probably inevitable, because if you talk about what a green city means in one continent, it might be a completely different thing in another continent. But nevertheless, I felt at times that the panelists were kind of struggling to narrow down some of the ideas, and maybe that's one of the things that you could contribute to tonight by trying to turn some of these rather nebulous things into a more concrete reality. And I guess the third thing that came through was that even though a lot of these exist as ideas, people are implementing payment for ecosystem services in some countries, and there's lots of theory around beyond GDP measures and so on and so forth. Getting them into the mainstream seems to be a stumbling block all over the place. And I've often observed this in the sort of sustainable development sphere. There's no shortage of ideas about what to do, no shortage of arguments about why it needs to be done and when it needs to be done by. What's lacking often is that how you make the transition from here to there. What's the politics you have to go through in order to make that transition?